a brand new day. We'll be making history. Are you with me? Won't you stay? We have come so far. This is who we are. And like the rising sun, we have just begun to play our part. This is the time we form the chorus. Lift your voice for those before us. We can rely on one another. Feel the pride, let's show our colors. We are heroes and...
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range. We graze on wild ideas, and we have wonderful guests. And today, my wonderful guest is a man who refers to himself as Chief, as it is a result of a previous position he held, which he will be happy to tell you about. And we're going to talk today about manifesting, speaking things into existence, Chief's SSP experience, and frequencies for healing. So let me bring Chief on. Welcome, Chief. How are you doing?
Well, thank you for having me. It is my pleasure, Gail.
Oh, thank you. It's my pleasure as well. I'm happy to have you on. Why don't you tell people a little bit about your background or why you are referred to as Chief, and then
Okay.
we can start with the manifesting. Go for it.
I was a police officer for many years, and I was appointed chief of police. And I was thrown into a hornet's nest of corruption.
Gee, small wonder.
A hit was put out on me, and the hit is still valid. So everybody knows me as Chief. Everybody calls me Chief, and that's just where I got the name. Let's get straight into manifestation. I learned how to manifest 20 years ago. I get to snuggle with God every day. And it's a special time that God and I have, and he speaks to me directly, and I get to speak to him. It's a two-way conversation. And I was taught how to manifest. Now, I'm not to the point where I can manifest instantly. That's not the way it works with me. What I do is, well, for the last 20 years, I've spoken 3 cars into existence. I've spoken 2 houses into existence, and many other things. I've spoken a new family into existence. And the way I do that is I make positive statements in the present time. For instance, if I need $100 by Friday, I do not say I need $100 by Friday, or please God, give me $100 by Friday. None of that works. God does not work in the future. He does not work in the past. He only works in the forever now. So I will make a statement with my mouth. Your mouth is the most powerful thing on the earth. I will make a statement of, I have $100 in my pocket. That is a present statement. It is a statement of fact, as if I already have it.
Is that something like fake it until you make it?
Yeah, kind of, sort of. It goes back to a biblical verse of speak those things that be not as though they are.
Oh.
So to get a new car in my drive, I would say, I have a new car in my driveway. Thank you, God. and you got to have gratitude along with it. Now, you don't want to say that in front of a neighbor. You want to say that in the shower, in the privacy of your own car, in the bedroom, in the privacy of your own home, not in front of someone. And we did that with 2 houses. Where we live now, we live in Arkansas. We moved from 50 miles southwest of Las Vegas, Nevada, where we spoke that house into existence. And we got it paid off in about it was 5 years. And we were moving out of Nevada, and we allowed God to guide us where we were going to go. I kind of wanted to go to Asheville, North Carolina, and God said no. I did not. Why?
Small wonder.
And so we started traveling, and our target city at the time was Texarkana. And I thought, well, maybe we're going to settle in Texas or somewhere like that. Well, that was not to be. The real estate had not crashed, and I was expecting a real estate crash. And God told us to go north. We went to Fort Smith, Arkansas, and he told us to start looking around. And my wife did. We found this house about an hour away, and we took a look at it. It was gorgeous. The guy wanted $120,000 for it. It was part of the real estate crash because this area of the real estate had crashed in places. And it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, fully remodeled inside and out with a creek running through it. It was just gorgeous. And I'm of the old school where I lowball. I'm a horse trader, and I lowball. And so I offered him $95,000 for it, and he accepted it first day without even blinking an eye.
Wow.
And so we knew that this house was the one that God had for us. So we bought it, we moved in, and there's a video. Let's see. We'll do that in a little bit. So we constantly speak things into existence. I spoke my family into existence. My family, I met a young lady in England, and she's much younger than I am. And just so everyone knows, I am 77 years old, and I am completely pain-free and disease-free thanks to this med bed technology we have, which we'll speak on later.
You have had a rather, I don't know if you have more to say on the speaking things into existence. So I guess the main points are that you stay in the now, as they say, when you do this.
You stay in the now. And it's helpful if you can snuggle with God in the morning when you get up. That is a process that I do every day. But the speaking things into existence, you have to make sure that you make the statement of what you want in the present tense as if you already have it. And you make it many times during the daytime until you receive it. It took
How
2
much
months.
of the house?
Say again.
Let me ask you real quick. I'm sorry. How much of the house did you have in your? Did you envision it, or did you see it and then speak it into existence? Even though
We
you were,
saw it
you were
first. In Nevada, we
okay.
saw it first. It was in 2.5 acres. It was a 2,400 square foot house, perfect condition. And we said, that house is ours. We claimed it. And 2 months later, it was ours.
Thank you. Pudwacker says he's done the
And
same
the
thing.
real estate had crashed. We got it for $60,000.
Wow.
We had it paid off within 5 years. And then we moved out here to Arkansas, and we saw the house. We knew right away that this was the house that God had for us. We just knew it. It was a knowing. And we received it within 5 days of speaking it into existence, meaning that we claimed it as ours, and things just came about that let us have it. We spoke our car into existence. We wanted a Suburban to pull a trailer. We wanted to tour the United States for a couple of years, and that we did. So we started saying we own a Suburban. And
Yeah,
we
you wouldn't
kept
want to say
saying
this in
that.
front of other people because they would think you're a little
Yeah, they see my Prius out there and they
crazy.
say that's not a Suburban. So you want to keep that privately, but your mouth is extremely powerful.
The very sound of your voice, right?
Yes, it's a vibration, the frequency of your voice, all combined. And we received the Suburban 2 years old, because I don't buy new. I always buy 2 years old. And they were expensive. $80,000, some of them. And
Hey, as much as a house. It's
yeah.
ridiculous.
And so we went through USAA buying service, and they gave us a 2-year-old Suburban. It was in Phoenix, Arizona. We drove down there. We saw it. 38,000 for 38,000 miles. And I thought, boy, what a deal that is. So we bought it immediately. We went to trailer parks in Nevada. We found the perfect travel trailer. It was $40,000. It was way too much for me. And so we started speaking a trailer like that into existence by saying, we've got it now. It's ours. And my wife found this place in London, Kentucky. It doesn't exist anymore. So we drove all the way out to London, Kentucky. We found the exact same trailer, the 37-footer, brand new, with a bedroom in front and back for our children. We spoke our children into existence as well. We agreed on 4 children, and we did that. And it's been a glorious time. And so we went to the salesman and asked, it was a wholesale to the public. And I said, okay, we want that trailer over there. It has a $40,000 price tag on it. What is the wholesale to me? And he handed me a piece of paper with a number on it. And the number was 28,000. I thought, oh my God, that's perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. We bought it right then and there, and we traveled the U.S. all over for 2 years.
Wow, how nice.
And then what started this whole thing with the secret space program, you can run that video now if you want. I was in Nevada 2 weeks before we moved to Arkansas. My children and I would go out to the front porch and we'd look for UFOs every night. And every night we would see 3 or 4 of them. And I've had many close encounters my whole life. And one night we saw 10 UFOs
Let's show that.
traveling. Go ahead. Yeah. When I was 8 years old, I was encouraged to go out to this field just by an urge in my mind to look for a UFO. And so I went out, I rode my bike out. I was 8 years old in 1955. And I rode out to this empty field and started looking for a UFO. And in reality, a UFO did land. 2 Palladians got out. There was a male. His name, we called him the Colonel. And there was a female co-pilot. Her name was Elena, spelt with an A. She was drop dead beautiful. They both had long blonde hair, blue eyes. They invited me into the 150-foot diameter craft. And I was invited to sit down in the third chair. There were 3 pilot chairs. The pilot sat in the middle. Elena sat on the left-hand side, and I was on the right-hand side. And the colonel told me to, it was all telepathic. There were no words. And that's why they picked me, because I was telepathic. I didn't know that at the time. What does an 8-year-old know? And so you could, at the windshield level, for lack of a better word, the windshield was completely clear and transparent, as if there was nothing there. And up above that was a star map that spanned from the extreme left side of the craft to the right side of the craft. And he pointed to the right side of the craft to a star cluster, and he told me telepathically to focus on that, put that picture in my mind, put my hands on the dash, for lack of a better word, because the ship had to recognize me because the ship was alive. And I had a real problem with that. And even now I have kind of a problem getting my head wrapped around a ship that's alive and conscious.
Yeah.
And as soon as I did that, you could see out of the windshield. And again, it was all transparent. It wasn't a windshield, but that's the best way I can describe it. There's a lot of things that I have no word for.
It makes me think of, when you see Star Trek or something, and they look out that like windshield. I don't know what you would
thing.
Yeah, I don't know what else you can call it, but a windshield. So anyway.
Yes. And the craft immediately lifted up, and we quickly left the Earth. And 10 minutes later, we were on Palladium, actually in the Palladian constellation. It was a planet of Era. And we landed, and there was some people, I believe they were Palladians. They had long blonde hair. And the city, oh my God, the city. It was crystal. It was
I was just going to say,
crystalline.
I must have picked that up from you because I was going to
And
ask you if it was crystal.
yes, it was crystalline buildings like I've never seen before. I can't really describe it, full of color, colors that I've never seen before. And so we had these group of people bring in a med bed and put it in the cargo area of the craft, which was a deck below us. And we had about 10 to 20 seats behind us for passengers if we had them. We didn't have any. When they brought the med bed in, there were 3 American generals accompanying it. I stood up out of my seat because I wanted to ask him a question. And the colonel was kind of gruff. He telepathically told me to shut up and sit down. I was not allowed to speak to anyone because he knew I was going to ask him a question. I wanted to know why they were there. But they accompanied the med bed. We took the med bed, then we took off, and we were back on the Earth within 10 minutes. And we went in this underwater dome. It's on the ocean floor. It's in the Atlantic. It is east of Florida. And we went through, for lack of a better word, I'll say it because I have no words to explain what it is. It's airlocks. We went through 2 or 3 airlocks, for lack of a better word, and parked near a warehouse type area. There were people that came in and got the med bed. We got to go out and see this warehouse. So we walked out of the craft, and there was a warehouse full of med beds. There must have been 300 to 400 med beds in this warehouse area. And they were bringing children in. Some had no legs. Some had one arm. All of them had no eyes. And the kids that didn't have any legs, they had to be carried in because there were no wheelchairs there. They were carried in, and they were all put in these med beds. The med bed would scan the body for about 3.5 minutes. And when the cover, it was kind of a clamshell cover. And when it opened up, the child would be whole, had both legs, had all the eyes, the organs that they took, and they led the children out of the door in the back of the warehouse. I really wanted to find out where they were going, but I wasn't allowed to ask any questions. And I don't know where they went from that point, but they were whole.
Do you believe these were rescued children?
Yes, they were from the dumbs. We've had dumbs since probably World War I. We've had this going on for decades. And when I was on Palladia, picking up the med bed, they put me in a med bed, and they aggressed my age from 8 years old to 18 years old. How that happens, I couldn't tell you. I had 2 tentacles that came up and attached themselves to my arms, And all of a sudden, I just grew and aged. So I had to get used to that. They gave me a silver jumpsuit. And by the way, the Palladians' body glowed. They were luminous. And it was really fascinating to see light coming out of their bodies. They live in the sixth density, the fifth and sixth density. So we came back to the earth. We saw this warehouse. We took off from there. And there have been many, many experiences in this craft. The colonel said, we've got to go pick up someone. I don't know where it was. We went into a mountain as if it wasn't even there. We went right through the dirt, right through the stone, into a cavern, and we picked up 10 insectoids. They were aliens. They looked like a cross between an ant and a praying mantis, but they had 2 arms, 2 legs, just like we do. But their heads were looked like an ant or a praying mantis. And we had to take them home. They lived on the other side of the galaxy. It took us 30 minutes to get to the other side of the galaxy. And it was awful for me because I felt very uncomfortable with them. They were friendly enough. They weren't mean or anything. But they stunk. They stunk bad. And to live with that stink for 30 minutes, that was almost more than I could take. I almost asked for a puke bucket.
Someone had asked, just real quick, there was a question up, and I'd like you to address it real quick, and it goes back to the children, and then you can pick up where you left off. But they asked if the children, were they clone children?
No. They were, well, I assume they were not cloned. I assume that they were missing children, and I'll get into that in a little bit. I'll make a statement. Well, I might as well do it now. When I was on the police department and I became chief, I learned that 1 million children a year went missing. And all of us chiefs got together and we're saying, where are these children going? What's going on here? None of us knew. We didn't know where they were. We just knew they were missing. And they were being put on milk cartons saying, this child is missing. Have you seen him or her? And it was rampant all over the world.
I remember those milk cartons.
Oh, that day.
They don't do it anymore.
No, they don't.
We have to take a break, and we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Okay.
And so stay with us. We'll be right back, and this is a fascinating story. So.
Are you thinking about purchasing a wood-fired heating or cooking appliance but don't know where to start? The new book, Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking, will guide you through the process and make the decision much easier. Find out about wood stoves, wood-burning fireplace inserts, masonry heaters, cook stoves, brick ovens, and more. Learn about operation and maintenance, buying and storing wood, even how to make your own charcoal. A bonus section includes delicious recipes for cooking in a wood-burning oven, grill, tandoori oven, or smoker. The wise homeowner, prepper, or homesteader will have the ability to heat their home with wood when the power goes out or to save money on increasing gas bills. Wood-Fired Heating and Cooking is available at Amazon. Visit www.woodfiredpub.com for more information. That's woodfiredpub.com. Unlock the mysteries of the spirit realm with the new book, Meeting Wallace. In this channeled work by renowned psychic medium Larry Costa, the reader will delve into the profound wisdom of his spirit guide, Wallace. Together, they share the transformative journey of harnessing psychic powers from the celestial plane. Discover the extraordinary psychic gifts that have empowered Larry on his path, and immerse yourself in a thought-provoking and awe-inspiring read. Meeting Wallace is a groundbreaking endeavor, and it is a perspective seen through the eyes of a spirit guide. Discover the wisdom of the spirit realm alongside actual photographs of ghosts and spirit guides. Get the book Meeting Wallace by Larry Costa at Amazon.com.
Tickets are now on sale for Rebels of Disclosure 2025, May 12th through the 15th in Grafton, Illinois at the beautiful Pierre Marquette Lodge and Conference Center. This will be a 4-day event with 12 speakers covering topics such as ET contact, experiencer testimonies, lost history, secret space programs, time travel, Illuminati, parallel realities, and so much more. Visit journeytotruth.online for more details.
Well, we're back.
I know about
And we're
those
back, Chief.
fireplaces, and I want one. They're beautiful. They're efficient. The ones that were just on the screen, they're really nice.
What are you talking about?
The advertisements that we went through, they were advertising fireplaces.
The books. Oh, okay.
The fireplaces. And I've seen
Nice,
those,
yeah.
and they're really nice. Anyway, we had to pick up some human people from the Earth, and we had to transport them to Mars. And I didn't feel good about transporting them to Mars because I felt it was a slave trade, and I don't think the Pleiadians were involved in that. But we had to transport, I think there were 20 human to Mars. They had a lot of building going on there. They were building all kinds of buildings. Mars is occupied by us. They were building a lot of things. The moon is also occupied by us, the United States, the Pleiadians, the Greys, the Reptilians. And I've never met a reptilian. I've met a Grey before, but I've never met a reptilian, and I pray to God I never do. Most of the ones here on the Earth are not good. They're very evil. But there are reptilians that are okay, but not the ones here on the Earth. Back in, it was July of this year, we took a 6-week vacation. We went all over the western part of the United States, and my children and I went up to Mount Shasta. Now, 10 years ago, my oldest son, who's 23, he stayed in Las Vegas. He has a life of his own. We went up Mount Shasta, and we saw 2 Sasquatches up there. And I had my youngest son at the time. He was a toddler. I had him in a wagon. We walked up the last little bit of Mount Shasta to, I think it was a panther campground. And we started walking back, and that's when we heard a growl. And I looked at my son, and I said, "What in the world was that?" And I asked him to go over to the edge of the road because it came from that direction and see what he saw. And he said, "Dad, that is a huge monster over there." He'd never seen a Sasquatch. He didn't know what they were. and I had him hold a wagon because it was about a 9% grade. My toddler would have been rocketing down the mountainside if we'd let it go. And I went over there and I saw the Sasquatch. He was paralleling us down the mountain, and he was a good 12 to 13 feet tall. And
Big.
all I could think of was my toddler in the wagon was bait, and I just wanted to get him out of there. I did not know anything about Sasquatch at the time. So we quickly started walking down the mountain, and we went about 500 feet, and we heard a thump, thump, thump. And I went over to the edge of the road to see what that was, and there was Mama Sasquatch. She had a huge log in her hand, and she was beating the heck out of a tree. And I didn't know what that was. It was part of their communication, but I didn't know that at the time. And so we just got out of there as quickly as we could. And funny thing is both my son who was with me and myself had iPhones. Not once did we even think about taking pictures. I just wanted out of there. And so this last July, we went back to Mount Shasta, and we went up to the top, and we saw many UFOs traveling overhead, going into the side of Mount Shasta, just as if it wasn't even there. And so we left there, and the vacation ended, and we've got another mothership parked directly over my house here in Arkansas. My children and I went out last night looking for UFOs. They really enjoy that. And we saw 3 or 4 while we were out there. And my 12-year-old son told me before that there was a cloaked mothership over the house here in Arkansas. Well, it was still there. And of course, we know why. They're not done with me yet. And I think my 12-year-old son has been in the secret space program also. I think, we're all telepathic here. All of us are. And that's what you have to be in the secret space program, because no words are used. And I had been looking for the med beds for the last 3 years. Now, I did not know that I was in the secret space program until last February. And
maybe you should tell us how that happened.
Well, I remembered that cloaked UFO in Nevada. That was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back, because I thought something's going on here. 7 of us police officers when I was a police officer, not the chief. We were fishing out at a lake outside of town, and we had a fireball come over us. It hovered, took off, and flew away. And each one of us police officers looked at each other, and we thought, what is that? What happened? And we all agreed we can't talk about this ever again. We'd be fired. Because back then you couldn't talk about this stuff.
I think you were out to lunch.
Yeah.
Kind of
so
crazy.
We never talked about it again. And I've had several other, when I was taken back to my home, the colonel told me to get dressed. They still had my clothes from when I was 8 years old. They had put me in a med bed, and they regressed my age back to 8 years old. And I remember two metallic kind of tentacles came up and they attached to both arms, and I could see myself shrink back from a 40-year-old to, because I was in a 20 and back, I'd spent 20 years with them. And I shrunk back to an 8-year-old, and he told me to leave the craft. I didn't want to. And he said, you have to. I told him I was happy here. And he said he understood. They both, and Elena was still there. They both told me they loved me. But I had to go home. It was required. So I left the ship. My bike was still on the fence where I'd left it. I rode home, and as soon as I got on the bike, my memories were erased. And I was so disappointed because I didn't see a UFO, and I was called out there to do that, and I didn't see one. That was what was left. I rode home, and I'd only been gone for an hour.
Amazing, isn't it?
It was an amazing experience. I've been all over the galaxy, and I didn't know this until last February. And I was shocked at what my memories revealed in this session.
That's how you got your memory back. This was hypnosis.
Yes, it was a QHHT session, and I had friends of mine that did it for free because I checked it out, and some were charging $500 to $800 a session. But it was a 5-hour long thing. They wanted to get to know me, and then the hypnosis session was 2.5 hours.
You were physically there at that session. This wasn't remote,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, it was not remote. They're not allowed to do remote.
Okay.
But I had been looking for the med bed for the last 3 years. We were supposed to have gotten it, and we did not. And I found out that the FDA had stopped it because the doctors would go out of business. The hospitals would go out of business. Well, of course they would.
The Fraud and Death Association, that's what I call them.
And
The
I
FDA.
was so disappointed that I didn't have a med bed. I wanted to be age regressed 30 years to be the same age of my wife because I married a very young woman. She was able to give me 4 children, and my youngest was born when I was 68. I had a friend of mine call me from St. Louis, Missouri, and she said that her and her husband were in a lot of pain, and they had this lady come over with a computer, and she ran frequencies on their painful areas, and the pain went away in 5 minutes. I knew right away that was med bed technology, and I told her I wanted it. So she gave me a link. I downloaded it to my laptop and my tablet. I turned it on, and I couldn't run it. I didn't know how. I called her back up, and I said, what do we do? I need training or something. And she invited me to her house, and she told me that she would teach me how to run it. So we drove up to St. Louis, which was just north of us here in Arkansas. When I walked through that front door, the same lady that took their pain away was sitting there. And so she took my tablet, she programmed it in 5 minutes, she started running frequencies. And at that time, I had extreme low back pain due to a previous police injury. And she put it in my low back, and the pain went away within 5 minutes. I was shocked. I was happy about it. And she then told me, you can do this remotely too. And she taught me how to do it. She said the best thing for you to do is to go home, call somebody up, have a session, and you'll see for yourself. And I called my brother up in Washington State, had a session. He had extreme sideways scoliosis, had a pain level of 8. When I was done with the session, I asked him to get up and walk around, give me a pain level, and he told me there wasn't any pain. He was just dumbfounded with it. The pain was completely gone. And since that day, I have had hundreds and hundreds of sessions from Australia to England, Norway, Germany, Brazil, Africa, Indonesia, Japan, just all over the world with the same result. And this was a year and a half ago. I've been involved in this medbed technology for a year and a half. And I want to offer, I have several team members that will give free pain relief sessions. And you can
Maybe you should give your email.
Email me at realchiefpolice@gmail.com. That's real, REAL, chief, CHIEF, police, POLICE, all one word, no spaces, no dashes, at gmail.com with the subject of pain. I need your name. It's all done by telephone, so I need your telephone number. If you don't give me the telephone number, you won't be called. And I need your time zone. And you people in Australia, I need you guys. I've got a brand new practitioner out in Australia who can help you. So we're not saddled with a huge time difference between Arkansas or wherever my practitioners are. I've got practitioners all over, but I need more. But here's the thing. If you have pain of any kind, even if it's just slight, we can get rid of it. And you will be happy when you get rid of it.
It's an amazing program. It really is.
And I need more practitioners. I need more team members. If you would like to learn how to be a team member or be a frequency practitioner, I do all the instruction, and the instruction I give is completely free. And it can take about a day to get you fully prepared to do sessions, because it's all written down, what you got to say, how you do it. And all you have to do is follow the PDF, step 1, step 2, step 3, and you can do a session. You can help people get rid of their pain. And so I need team members. If you want to be a team member, you give me an email at the same place, realchiefpolice@gmail.com, with the subject of team, TEAM, with your name, your phone number, and time zone. And I will get with you within a week to explain what it is. Go ahead,
So there's a
Gail.
difference between there's a difference between the two. One is to become a team member and a frequency practitioner, and the other is to get rid of pain, which you might want to do by the time you get done with your pain anyway, because if you purchase it and because of the wonderful results that you get, it's something that you can use yourself anytime
Yeah,
you
and
want,
you
with any
have to
family member and so
you
on.
have to experience these frequencies. I
Right.
have people tell me, this is Chief, this is magical. How did you do this? Well, the frequencies, I do it all remotely. I put the frequency in my back for back pain, and it gets into the etheric conduit that we're all connected with. And when it gets into that, the ether somehow enhances the frequencies and makes them better by the time it gets to the other person, even though it's instant and the people can feel it. They tell me I feel warmth or I feel tingling in my back or in my arm. And we have sessions with people who have neuropathy, fibromyalgia, arthritis, rheumatoid arthritis. I had one lady who had cancer. We've got all kinds of cancer frequencies, but she had a lot of pain with her. She had cancer in her right breast. And I got the pain gone in the right breast. The cancer had spread to the shoulder. I got the pain gone in the shoulder. Once the pain is gone, the body can heal itself. We've got frequencies for diabetes, Parkinson's, MS. We've got it all.
It's such an important thing because there's so much talk about people to raise your vibration and so on. But if you're in a lot of pain, that's very difficult to do. So getting that pain relief makes a world of difference. And then the amount of joy and happiness you feel afterwards,
Right.
is phenomenal.
I have 3 medical doctors on my team, and they all agree that this technology is absolutely medbed technology, because they wanted to be on my team because they said they cannot do what I can do. And so they joined my team, they learned how to do it, and now they're giving sessions to their patients. One of them has to give surreptitious treatments to their patients, because as soon as the AMA hears that he's doing this, he would have his license pulled immediately. And there's do we have time for a story with that medical doctor? Gail?
It depends how long it is. If you can do it kind of quickly.
Well, he called me up and he was just right in the middle of training, and he wanted me to do a session with one of his patients. His patient had extreme neuropathy. He was bedridden. He couldn't walk. So we did a session with him. And by the time we were done, an hour and 20 minutes later, he was up dancing around and singing. He could walk again. The pain and the numbness was gone. We can get rid of the numbness too. And he had it real bad in his feet, and we got it gone. But we can deal with any disease. One woman had cataracts, so she wanted me to do a session with cataracts. I'd never done one before. And the next day, she wrote on Carrie Cassidy's telegram that she had a session with Chief, and in the morning when she got up, the cataracts were gone. She didn't call and tell me that. She wrote it on Carrie Cassidy's telegram. And that's where I read it. It shocked me. But these frequencies are absolutely amazing. We have, at the end of the session, we can either get you relaxed or we can give you energy. We have an energy music that's packed full of energy frequencies. It's 3 minutes long. And when we play that, these people feel just absolutely amazing because they've got full of energy. They don't have any
Okay.
pain. And it was wonderful.
That's absolutely awesome. And I'd highly encourage people to write to you. And I hope you get some people who will experience this. And I want to thank you so much for sharing this with the
Oh,
audience.
one thing, the pain session is free. We don't charge anything. It's free. FREE. The pain
That's
sessions
very
are
unusual.
free. It costs nothing.
Alrighty, well, that's a wrap for tonight. And thank you so much, Chief. And thank you, audience, for listening. And I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you
My
again
pleasure,
next week.
Gail.
Thank you so much.